All right, welcome back to the second episode of the Off the Backboard podcast. Unfortunately, Caleb, our co host, wasn't able to make it this week, so I brought in a legend from Wizards Twitter, Domo.
What up, man?
Yeah, we're since Caleb went on his Cleveland Cavaliers rant last week, I decided I'm going to make an entire episode for the Wizards this time around. And so to start things off, I'm going to just ask you about various things with the team this season. So I'll start off with the positives first.
Yeah.
Alex Sarr and Keyshawn George have been phenomenal. They've both looked like they're going to be all stars in the next couple of years. What has stood out with their game so far this season to you so far?
Yeah,
Like, what improvements have they made?
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'll start with Alex Sarr. I mean, he's playing like a big man now. Like he's playing as an enforcer in the paint. His shot diet has completely changed. I remember kind of critiquing him last year, and I was just like, yo, his shot diet, like he's taking his 3 point the number of three pointers he was taking was at the same rate as Corey Kispert, and I was just like, there's no way that's sustainable. When like 60% of your shots are jumpers as a 7'1" center, like just wasn't sustainable. And I kind of always felt like it was just an experimental play style for him to kind of let him feel out his game and experiment with his touch and what he can do and can't do. And then it's like this summer, he just went and just eliminated all the stuff last year that didn't work. And he kept all the stuff that does work, finishing in the paint, dunking, right shoulder, left shoulder hooks, turnaround fade, that little spin move he likes in the lane. He kept all of that, and he got rid of the trash shot diet. And now he's basically a 20-10 player at only 20 years old. So while also being impactful on the defensive end, one of the best rim protectors in the league, again, only at 20 years old. So his trajectory has just like skyrocketed. I mean, it went from like hoping that he could be maybe Miles Turner to now, shit, I mean, he could be Anthony Davis. You don't know. You don't know. I feel like the sky's the limit. I think he's gonna be even better once we get kind of like that gravity player or a lead guard on the team. But yeah, man, the sky's the limit for Alex Sarr. And it will.
Yeah, and you mentioned you thought last season was more of an experimental play style, and I think that's something Keefe kind of uses. And I'll get back to Keefe and things with him in a bit, but he's like I've seen him a couple times put guys into roles where I don't necessarily think it's the best role for them, but you definitely see them improve as a player when they go back to playing their role or their style of play rather.
Yeah, for sure. It's like they have certain. I know a lot of teams do where they have like kind of 10-game intervals where they're kind of trying out things, trying out lineups, rotations. But I think that applies to like certain roles and situations too. Like if you have guys that you want to see guard up on a man and guard the opponent's best scorer, like clearly we have like Bilal and Jameer and those kind of roles, and you see them put them in those situations. Keyshawn George, you know, before I get to him, like they've been basically letting him be a lead ball handler and work on as a point guard. And you're seeing
Yeah.
him go through the growing pains of that, some of the turnovers, and I think, and then he's also trying to guard on the other end, and I think it's impacting him how aggressive he can be because he's picking up fouls. So then it's like, okay, now I got these fouls, I can't be super aggressive because then I might be out of the game. So it's
Yeah.
something that they're experimenting with, but I think it's in the short term it might be tough for a lot of fans to kind of to watch at times, but I think in the long run it'll make them better players.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And getting back to Keyshawn George, you mentioned him there. What has he done this year that you think has really helped him take that step forward, going from maybe he could be a high end starter to now he's looking like an all star this season, maybe even as soon as next year.
Yeah, he's playing at his own pace. Not to make the comparison, but like the same way that like Luka, somebody that doesn't have like the elite athleticism, can kind of just play at their own pace. You can't speed them up, and they use like little bump fades. They use little kind of crafty moves to create space and then at 6'8", 6'9", he can just shoot over you. So once he gets to a spot, he's finding crafty ways to get to a spot, and then he's comfortably raising up and shooting over top of the defender. I just wish he would be a little bit more aggressive, because I think he's a guy that could be 15-plus shots a night, but I think he's still, again, trying to work through being a facilitator, being at the top of the key, being a lead ball handler. So he's thinking pass first, make the right play, and it's kind of hurting him a little bit as far as being the aggressive scorer. But he's got to find that right balance.
Yeah, and he's like you said, he needs. I feel like I agree, he does need to be a little bit more aggressive. I think Alex Sarr sometimes also could be a little bit more aggressive at finding his shot as well. I think both of them. I think there are a few guys as well off the bench who just kind of need to realize, like, yeah, this is our team. We can go get our own shot. And there are a few guys that I think could definitely do that a little bit more. And Keyshawn George is probably the number one guy that comes to mind. I feel like he's a little bit too passive at times.
Yeah.
And then another two young guys who have really stood out, especially the last few games, Jameer Watkins and Will Riley. I remember on draft night you spoke very highly of both of them. What have your thoughts been the last few nights where they've just shown up and been immediate impact guys?
Yeah, like I'll start with Will Riley. I liked him a lot. I remember watching his college tape, and everybody was talking about Jaconis as kind of like this top 10 pick and lotto pick, and I'm like, man, that Will Riley kid, like, I don't know, I think he might be the best player on that team, because just every time he got in the game, he didn't need a screen to create separation. He could just give him the ball and get out the way. He didn't need any special play ran for him. He didn't need the center to come up, set a hard screen for him to get space or get downhill. It was just like he could just do it. And then he was just crafty with the ball, the playmaking flashes. So I was a big fan, and Dawkins drafting him. It's like he's kind of just doing the same thing he was doing, at Illinois. Like he kind of reminds me of Keshawn in that way, where they're just slithery, crafty players that they find ways to get to their spots, and they're not like super athletic, blur past you with speed. They went off of pace and just like IQ, craftiness, pivot foots and spins and turns and euros and like delayed steps and switching hands. It's just like, it's like as a defender, I know that could be frustrating, because you're like, I'm here in front of this guy, and the next thing you know, you blink and he's past you, but he's not doing anything like crazy to do it. It's just he's past you. So I'm a big fan of Will Riley. I think he has a chance to really carve out a very impactful role on the team. And as far as Jameer, like just a dog defensively. Like he was one of those dudes at State that just, he gonna pick you up 94 feet. He gonna get up under you. When he was coming out, I compared him to Lou Dort. So like, I think that's the role ideally. If he reaches his 90 percentile, ceiling, that's the type of player and mentality you're getting with him, man. So it's gonna come down to whether he can make jump shots. Like if he can turn himself into a reliable shooter from range, that dude is gonna be a player here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been saying all season long that we've got the talent on the team defensively to have that great defensive team that we really need to be in order to win a championship someday. And then these two start playing, and right away it's clear, and like the second they get on the floor, oh yeah, these are our energy guys. Yeah. So that's been great to see from them. And then another two guys, kind of the same bill, but not quite as surprising and as impactful as they maybe could be. Justin Champagnie, due to his minutes, and Marvin Bagley, they've both, I feel like, have proven that they're going to be here for a minute. They're going to be here for a while. I think at least one of them, Champagnie, will be here when we make the postseason again. And Marvin Bagley has looked like a top half of the league backup center. What have your thoughts on those two been early on?
Yeah, I just love how they attack the glass. Like they attack the glass like, like for them, that's getting 40 points. Like going to get a rebound is like hitting a step back three or a crossover or a dunk. And you need
Yeah.
that. Like every team, every playoff team or every good team has those guys that they just come in and they change the game with their hustle, rebounding the ball, getting you extra possessions. And that was something I felt like last year they had really none of because we were a small team last year. And outside of Valanciunas, you really had nobody on the glass that played high minutes for you. So you insert JC, you insert Bagley into the lineup, getting regular minutes. All of a sudden, you're a better rebounding team. You're giving yourself extra possessions. And now this year, I believe we're a top 10 3-point shooting team. So you're giving yourself extra possessions, rebounding the basketball. That means you can shoot more threes. You can make more threes. You can stay in games. So you need that. You need guys to be superstars in their role. And I think JC and Bagley have been doing that. I hope going forward Bagley could be. I still think we need one more big to go with Bagley and Sarr, and then JC. That's like the ideal like 9th, 10th man on the team.
Absolutely. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think Bagley could be here for sure for a while. And he's taken a step forward this year defensively. I think this is the best defense I've seen from him in his entire career, which back in his time in Sacramento was definitely a big issue with him. And now he's turning himself into positive. He's openly talking about teaching Alex Sarr as well. And he's embraced that mentor role at, what is he, 25 now?
He's still young. I mean, he was the number 2 pick for a reason too, right? And it's just like, you know, playing for the Sacramento Kings. I don't know if you saw the comments De'Aaron Fox had made, but it's almost kind of like you got to scratch that off a guy's career when you're starting your career there in Sacramento, like because they're one of the worst ran organizations in all the sports. So,
they had a couple years there where they looked like they were turning it around, and then they just went back.
They found a way to mess that up. You had 2 top 5, top 10 point guards, and you found a way to mess that up. Like,
there's
the key.
Yeah, I don't know. That was impressive. But I'm really excited with how he's turned his career around here in Washington. I think he's got a little bit more room to grow, especially as that backup to Alex Sarr. Now, kind of turn into a little bit more of a negative. Maybe not the last 3 games. Bub Carrington's had kind of a big step back this season. What have been your thoughts on how he's played? He's definitely not playing the same way he did last season, but I'll let you break that down a little bit.
Yeah, like I feel like it's more again like the growing pains of playing the position he's playing, point guard in the NBA. It's the hardest position to learn. It's the hardest position to master because there's so many moving parts with it, and you are dependent upon to put everybody where they're supposed to be. You got to know where everybody is. You gotta execute, and when you mess up, everybody knows because you're the lead guy. Like you're at the top of the key. So if you lose the ball, you turn it over. We see it. Like if you get beat at the top of the key, or off the dribble, playing at a position that's probably the deepest it's ever been in the league, and at point guard, we gonna see it, and it's gonna be a highly critical position, especially for a Wizards team that, if we're being honest, they haven't solved the point guard position since John Wall slipped in the shower. So it's been a long time. We'd have been to Neto, Ish Smith, Russell Westbrook. Who I'm missing? I know I'm missing some. Shabazz Napier. I mean, it's been a long list.
Kendrick
Nunn. I mean, it's been a long list of point guards to come through here since John Wall tore his Achilles. So that microscope was on Bub, and that's a heavy mantle to carry. But I think he's where I expect a 20-year-old to be in year 2. That to me was not like a natural facilitator coming out. He was more of a combo, score first, and then pass off of his aggressiveness, scoring and shooting the ball out of the mid-range into the 3-point line. So this has been an adjustment for him, and I think he's just starting to kind of find his groove, man. I think Wiz fans got to kind of ease up on him, let him kind of take these lumps early, learn how to play the position, and I think year 3, year 4, you'll see him be able to meld it all together. Learn how to run a team, but then also knowing when to pick your spots, go to that mid range, be aggressive, and be that scorer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think last year he played more of a shooting guard
Yeah,
position more often, or yeah, he did play point guard, but he also had like Marcus Smart,
yeah,
Jordan Poole, other playmakers there next to him, Malcolm Brogdon, Tyus Jones
yeah,
as well, to kind of take off the pressure as from that facilitator role. So it wasn't as noticeable that he wasn't a true point guard until all of those guys
yeah.
are gone, and we didn't really replace that spot because CJ McCollum,
Not a point guard.
as great of a scorer as he is, he's not facilitating.
No, not at all. And it's almost kind of like they threw. You could tell the goal was to throw him in the fire at that position because they didn't even bring in a backup. They didn't
Yeah,
bring in a vet point guard. They didn't bring in even a young point guard to play alongside him. Like it's literally Bub is literally the only listed point guard, outside of Sharif Cooper. But I mean, that's a G League guy. That's not a guy that you're bringing up.
yeah,
Like literally, Bub is the only point guard on the roster. So it's kind of like it's trial by fire, man. Like throw him into the deep end and let's sink or swim. So
yeah,
I'm rooting for the kid, man. I think he's gonna be. And then another thing too, I think also like a lot of people harp on the rim pressure deal with Bub, and I get that because we kind of want a lead because we're so devoid of the point guard spot for so long. We're so used to seeing John Wall get to the rim, give the spoon-fed buckets to the bigs and to Otto Porters of the world, right? But I think in 2025, you don't have to build a team that way where it's kind of heliocentric around one lead point guard. You can do it where, if it's your wing player, that's the guy that can get to the rim and have that gravity. Or if it's your big, like a Sengun, that can have that passing gravity, command a double. Well, then now your point guard could be a Derek White type that maybe doesn't drive the rim as much, but he can knock down 40% from three and kill you that way and just make smart secondary reads. Like, I think Bub can kind of fit into that style of play at the position, but we just gotta be a little patient with it.
yeah. And I remember last year he got a lot of comparisons to like Darren Williams with some of the dribble moves he has off this pick. If he can figure out how to read the floor as a facilitator, that's going to be huge for this team because especially if we can get the top pick and get a point guard in the draft, then
Please, Adam Silver, please.
but if he can be like our backup point guard who comes in gets like 20 25 minutes off the bench as a combo guard having the ability to facilitate, then that would be huge for this Wizards team. So having him that go through the like you said, trial by fire now rather than later when we're trying to compete and make that adjustment in a style of play 2 years from now when we need it in the playoffs. That it's just looking ahead. It projects very well for this team if he can figure that out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, like I said, again, it's another role. You in this league now, you need three guards. You need three guards
Yeah,
that have that versatility that can switch in between the one or the two. I mean, you see over the Pacers last year, Andrew Nimhard just being. I mean, he come up, get on that floor, and he can just be impactful, scoring the ball, facilitating the ball, shooting, being a corner guy, locking up at the top of the key. Bub can play that role. He's just going to need time to kind of fill his game out and learn.
yeah, absolutely. And then another guy who's been a little controversial on Wizards Twitter is Bilal
Yeah,
Coulibaly. He was been a fan favorite since he got here, but his lack of improvement is starting to, or at least perceived lack of improvement, is starting to rub some fans the wrong
yeah.
way. What are you seeing in his game? What are you hoping for with him and with the injuries as well? Like, what's going on with Bilal in your eyes?
Yeah, I'll start with that, the injuries, because that's what I'm more worried about than his actual game. In year 3, like, again, he's still kind of finding his niche in the league. We know he wants to be a defender first, and when we drafted him, we knew he was a work in progress offensively. I think they've given him some, uh, again, some assignments to be a lead ball handler, to work on his facilitating, playmaking, trying to improve his handle. But I think ultimately he's going to kind of settle into that 3 and D role. And I think he's going to be a player that elevates when you get that true gravity guy on the team, so that he's just running to a corner. He's just getting out in transition, being the athlete that he is, instead of you kind of leaning on him and expecting him to be 15, 20 points a night. I don't know that that's his game, or if that'll ever be his game. And that's not a knock, but you can still be an impactful player, especially with how athletic he is, how good he is on the defensive end. I mean, we saw what he did against Jalen Johnson. We saw what he did against Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like, he can really lock in defensively and be a guy that makes an all-defensive team. And if you can get that while he giving you 12 points, 14 points, that's a hell of a player. So,
Absolutely.
it's just he's got to, he's got to be able to knock down, I would say, maybe about 36% of his threes at a decent clip. If he can do that, I'm good with Bilal.
Yeah. And like you said, with his athleticism, and also another thing I've noticed with him over and over again, he reads the floor extremely well for a player his size. Almost every time he gets a rebound, he's looking
Yeah.
up, and there are a couple times where he's throwing the ball, and I didn't even know there was a guy up the floor, and he makes thread the needle pass all the way up the floor for a wide open layup or dunk, and he's just adding that with that defensive ability, and having that ability to just, like you said, hit 36% of his shots. Like, he would be almost the perfect complement to the two stars we have, and hopefully another one here in the draft next year.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, again, like, you're building these teams. When you're building a team, it's like a living organism. Like, you need, the brain and the heart are the most important things, but you need your lungs, you need your eyes, you need all of these parts to kind of play their roles, so that you have this living organism, this team that's working together to function, man. So yeah, there's a role for Bilal if he hits certain markers with his shooting. But the most important thing with him, he's got to stay healthy, and I'm hoping that's the case, man. Whatever it is, these little weird injuries, random injuries, I just hope it's something. I'm hoping it's just like he's just still growing or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going through growing pains,
Yeah.
and his body hasn't like filled out yet. And then once he gets into his body, then these injuries, these little minor injuries, will go away.
Yeah. I know last season they said he was still growing, and he looked around like 6'9", whereas when he was drafted, he was listed at six
Yeah,
six. So it could be that he's still growing. And then he had that broken thumb in international
yeah,
play as
yeah,
well,
yeah.
unfortunately. But now getting to the real controversial figure, Cam Whitmore.
Oh, man.
The Wizards are 4-20. He has not played in 2 games. They're not really consistent on why he's sitting. What have you seen with Cam Whitmore this season, and what do you think's going on here with him not playing the last 2 games?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hate. Let me start off by saying, so the Cam Whitmore fans don't come for me. I am a fan of Cam Whitmore. I watched him since he was at Spalding. I am a fan of Cam Whitmore. Let me start with that. However, you're on team number 2. There was a knock on you during the draft process that dropped you from top 5 conversation into the 20s. There's a couple videos I've seen floating out here at certain nightclubs. You know, perception in this league is reality. Okay, like, when you get a rap or perception on your game or who you are as a person, that sticks with you. He's got to correct it, and he can. He's super talented. But I think some of the things we talked about with Jameer and Justice Stampini, He needs to embrace that. Embrace that super role player mantra, and then you will get your opportunities to show that you can do more. But I think
Absolutely.
he's kind of going about it the opposite way. Like he's coming in thinking, "Oh, I was supposed to be this. I was this. I can shoot this shot. I can do this, and I'm gonna be on the floor because I'm talented." No, you're on stop number two. This front office did not draft you. They have no allegiance to you. So you got to come in here with the same mindset of a guy that was undrafted, or a guy that, hey man, I'm on stop number two. Stop number three could be out the league. Like you need to play with that type of sense of urgency on both sides of the ball, and then you'll get your opportunities to show the type of scoring talent you are. But you can't do it the other way around. You can't start a game 1 for 5, and because you're missing shots, you dog it on the other end defensively, or you don't box your man out, or you don't get back on defense, or you come down on a fast break 1-on-5 and you pull up a damn 3-pointer. Like you can't do that. You can't do that. You could do that when you a top 3 pick and the owner loves you, and you got a shoe deal and all that. You can't do that when you on stop number 2 with the reputation he got already. So I'm rooting for Cam, man. He's super talented, and I hope he turns it around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also a big Whitmore fan, and I really want him to reach that potential that he has here in Washington, if he can. What I've noticed and what's really stood out to me is in that first 10-ish games of the season, he really wasn't passing the ball at all when he was playing. He, like you said, he took possessions off defensively, and there were a few times where like he would force shots. You mentioned the threes. He also will force shots at the rim as well, and he'll just be like, "This is the Cam Whitmore show."
Right.
And then after so many games of that, he had his minutes pulled for 2-3 games, and then he came back and he was playing exactly how you want him to. He was moving the ball. He was playing great defense. He was boxing out. He was making the extra pass. And for 10 games there, and those are probably, so you have probably 6 of the most competitive games. You had 2 wins in that time period. They played extremely well. And then you get a few more games where he stops passing the ball. He's got that mindset of I'm the star. And all of a sudden, he gets 2 back-to-back DNPs.
Yep.
And I think a lot of it comes down to, like you said, how he carries himself. But I think he just needs to learn to play that 2022 Andrew Wiggins role.
Oh man.
I think
Yeah.
that would be perfect for him.
Yeah.
Because Wiggins was borderline all defensive team that year. Probably could have made it. I don't remember if he did. I think he was just shy of it. But he was an 18-point per game guy. Went and got 6 rebounds a game that season, or at least in the playoffs he did. And he was, in my opinion, the second best player in that playoff run.
I think wasn't he? I thought he was an All-Star that year too. I thought.
Yeah, that was the year that he
Yeah,
made
I
the
think that
All
was
Star
the year
game.
that-
But he got that. He got that from K-pop Twitter.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But I mean, he was impactful. He was impactful. I mean, he won a championship being that player.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was fantastic that season. I think right around there is probably where Cam Whitmore should project to be and should try to be. Maybe he can be a little bit better than that, but I think that is a realistic goal for him. And to do that, he just has to get into that mindset of I'm going to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of that, it's similar to Andrew Wiggins, because Andrew Wiggins also had a lot of the same issues Cam Whitmore has, where he came in number 1 pick, was I'm the best player on the team, or second best player on the team when Cat got drafted, and just wasn't really willing to play within a system, wasn't really willing to put the work in. Jimmy Butler called him out. Several other players called him out, I believe. And then he gets traded to Golden State, sees Steph Curry, Draymond Green, bunch of guys that are just willing to do whatever it takes to go and put another dub in the sheet and fight for every win. I think getting a guy like that onto the team would be extremely beneficial for Cam Whitmore, especially a veteran. who has won before and has several championships. And that's not a disrespect to Chris Middleton, who is that currently for this team, but like a guy like preferably similar, not quite to Draymond, where
Somebody's still in their prime.
they're very vocal leader.
Somebody's still in their prime.
Where they can, still willing and able to compete for a championship, show him, this is how this is going to work, this is how we're going to win, and really establish a culture. And I think really the whole team would benefit from that as well, not just Cam Whitmore. But I think Cam Whitmore would be the one to benefit the most from that.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. I like that Andrew Wiggins comparison a lot because I remember it being pretty tough for Wiggins for a couple of years. Kind of trying to like, you got an ego. All these guys have egos. You don't get to that level not thinking you're the man. And, Wiggins was the number one pick, had all the tools, athleticism. And then he had to kind of like tone it down. Like that. Maybe I'm not a franchise player, but hey, I can be impactful doing these things. Playing defense, rebounding, kicking the ball ahead, and basically becoming a super role player. I mean, that might be tough for Cam Whitmore to hear right now because he's only 20 years old, 21 years old. But, it's definitely Wiggins is definitely a career he could learn from for sure.
Yeah, and I'd love to see him turn into an Andrew Wiggins for this team. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah. But then on it's kind of the opposite side of the same coin here. What have you thought of Brian Keefe and his performance so far? I know there have been, I know Wizards Twitter is split pretty much 50-50 on Keefe. What have you seen that you've liked? What have you seen that you haven't liked that he can improve on? And what do you think the plan is with him going forward?
Yeah, I think he's our. I think he's our Paul Silas Jr. I think he's the transition coach to the next coach that's going to usher in the winning. Like, the dynasty starts after you. Like, I think, he's a good guy. I think he's a good player development guy. I think some of his rotations are a little weird. I think some of his X's and O's don't make sense to me sometimes. But I wouldn't mind him in some capacity on a staff. I just don't know that he's head coach material. And I think ultimately when this team is trying to compete to win playoff games, I'm not sure. I have my doubts that he's going to be here for that part of this, for that iteration of this Will Dawkins Wizards team.
Yeah. And I'm one of those guys. I've defended Keefe over and over again. I do not want them to fire him, at least not for several years yet. I'd like to see him get to the playoffs before then, because we see teams time and time again. They've got a young team. They underperform. They're not doing exactly how they want everything to go. Fire head coach. Then 4 head coaches later, they're still underperforming. Right. Minnesota did that. Charlotte's done that. Chicago's done that. We just see it over and over and over again. We've mentioned the Kings. We're trying to bring the Wizards to another level of basketball play. We're trying to move on from the reputation that the franchise unfortunately has from previous mismanagement. And so I think firing Keefe at this stage in the rebuild would be a mistake. Now, if they underperform in the playoffs, absolutely. Like, if that's the change they think they need to make later on, once they're ready to compete, then yeah, that's fine. But we want to have consistent messaging, in my opinion, to the young guys early in their careers.
No, I can see that. It's funny though, because I was just looking at something like the Wizards the last 3 years through 23 games have the exact same record: 3-20, 3-20, 3-20. At some point, even in spite of some of the individual growth you've seen with players, you have to hold the coach account for winning games and evaluating kind of like his situational awareness within games. Like, in this situation, what are you doing? Are you putting your players in the best situation to win the game? And if they just don't execute, then that's on them. But if you're putting them in bad situations where they have no shot because of bad lineups or bad matchups, or you don't know how to use your timeouts. Like that type of stuff is going to be hard to excuse, I think, after 4 years, and then again 4 years of not seeing any improvement in the record, because you can't go 4 straight years sub 15 wins. Like I don't think any coach could survive that, no matter what, no matter if it's a rebuild or not. Like you have to show some type of improvement. So we'll see. It's a lot of season left. I think come March and April, when teams kind of ramp it down a little bit, maybe they can grab some wins. Maybe a signature win that kind of like, all right, this roster, these kids, they haven't tuned Keith out. They're still responding to him. So that's kind of, you'll be able to evaluate that. But if we get to March and April and they getting blown out by 40, or the game is over by the middle of the second quarter because they down 30 points, I think you'll have your answer on whether Keith is going to be here or not. Because the players will tell you.
Absolutely, they will. And you'll be able to tell it with the body language as well. You'll be able to tell, you're absolutely right with that. And then, I had a thought now. A few years ago, my dad texted me and he said that, because my dad's a big Pistons guy, right? A few years ago, he texted me. He said that the Pistons had everything together. They just needed that star guy, right? And that offseason, they drafted Cade Cunningham. And then all of this stuff that they had put together kind of fell apart. But that's aside the point. I think really that's where the Wizards kind of are, just about. They need a few vets still to kind of complement the roster. But we've got really our starting center. We've got we've got two starting wings. We maybe need a power forward, but we could probably find a vet to fill that role for a short period of time. But what we really need, in my opinion, I think what will really help Brian Keefe kind of put things together if he's still here next season, is a point guard. We need that star point guard. I think based on your Twitter, I think we both agree we want Darren Peterson to come to Washington. I think if he comes in and is day one like a 28-8 guy, which he's capable of being, that you compare him to Brandon Roy, he's capable of being really that combo guard, point guard that the Wizards need, that can create offense from nothing.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the draft a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. I'll say recently I've kind of moved more into AJ DeBonsa. Like I think I'm close to putting him into like his own tier now. Because I have no questions with him. Like Peterson now, I'm just like the health, and it's crazy because again my comparison for him is Brandon Roy. I don't want to put that injury part on him, but yeah, like he's got to be healthy, man. Yeah, because it don't get less physical. It don't get easier when you go to the NBA. No. So yeah, he's got to be healthy. But I love his game. He's dynamic as a scorer, as a ball handler. Again, another player that doesn't get sped up. He kind of just moves at his own pace. He goes where he wants to go. You need to get to the rim, he gets to the rim. You need to get a jumper off, he get a jumper off. You need to pass, he'll pass. He really don't have a weakness. That's why, when I watch him, I think of Brandon Roy, because that's what Brandon Roy was for me. Like he didn't have a standout trait with him. He just was good at everything. And it's unfortunate he didn't get to stay healthy, because I feel like he was right on the heels of some of the top tier guys like Kobe, Wade. During that time, he just never got to maximize it. Similar to Gill, like they kind of both got hurt like right before their prime, and it was just gone, just like that. But yeah, I like Peterson, man. I think he would be a perfect fit here. But again, like I think AJ is he might be the one, man. Like Because again, I think you with the 6'9", with his size and his mobility and dexterity at that size, like he's like a legit 6'9", probably 230, and he moves like a guard, like quick first step,
Absolutely.
long strides, long arms, and he can just get to the rim at will. And I think from that gravity he'll be able to make reads and make life easier for the Alex Sarr, the Koulibaly, the Trey Johnson, who's a sniper shooter, Bub Currington, who can shoot, Sean George, who can now be a true sniper because he don't have to worry about facilitating as much. I think AJ, for this draft, for me, I think AJ is the prize. But I mean, yeah, Peterson is no consolation. Cam Boozer is no consolation. But I think AJ is for me now is in kind of his own tier as the number one guy this class.
Yeah, I've seen several people saying that the top 3 is the best it's been in a single draft since like 2003, where yeah, Darko didn't turn out, but I remember reading articles because I wasn't really old enough to be remembering that, but I remember reading articles from back then where they were like, is this the next Dirk or is this the next like big European guy? Like I remember reading and like everybody was like really hype on him, and then also reading that nobody had any tape on him either.
Yeah, that was weird because it was like it was LeBron for most people that weren't like the professionals. It was LeBron and it was LaMelo. I mean, not LaMelo, Carmelo. That was 1-2. Like the Darko thing kind of developed late, and even like Dwayne Wade, like again, he was kind of like a late bloomer in the tournament because he went off in the tournament with Marquette. But it was like guaranteed 2. You going LeBron, Carmelo, and then I remember at the time Chris Bosh, like because again you had a proven track record with him scoring on the college level. So it was really those 3, and then you got to the Darko and then the D Wade. But for Darko to go 2, it was what? Like,
And then he turned around and won a championship.
Yeah, and it ended up not even mattering. But I feel like if they had took Melo, they probably would have been a dynasty, man. But then I don't know. Maybe they never give Rasheed Wallace either if they get Melo.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where you move things around, some things don't work.
Yeah.
Who knows? But yeah, I've seen a lot of people saying that this is the best top 3 since back then. I don't think I can argue with that. And I think this is a pretty good draft to be tanking for. Just thankfully we're not the Pelicans or Clippers.
Yeah. I like having my draft pick. That's one thing I gotta applaud Dawkins for. He is not trading no first round pick away.
No,
he ain't doing it.
No, but one thing I could see him doing is we've got 5 second-round picks this year. Do you see them possibly moving up into the lottery using those 5, combining those with like a Kispert, maybe Bagley? We've talked about combining a salary plus those 5 picks, or a role player plus 5 picks to get into that late lottery. Give it to a team that's maybe trying to take that next step, like Portland.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're gonna get a play. I feel like they're gonna move up into the 20s somehow, some way. I mean, if you look at the track record, they've kind of shown their hand how they operate. Like they come out with their top pick, whatever the lotto balls fall, they get that pick, and then they usually go and get a guy in the 20s, somewhere in the 20s. Like even the Bilal draft, they went back and got Cam Whitmore, who was a guy they evaluated, who went in at pick 20. 2024, of course, they had the pick from the Gafford trade. They used that to go get Keyshawn George. This last draft, they get Will Riley with the pick. I believe that was from the 76ers. So they're identifying guys in that range, that 20 to 30 range, and they clearly see value in that. And that's, again, this is something that is totally different than the last regime and the regime before that, where they see value outside of the lottery. that they can develop, and they feel like they can find starters or more at that range of the draft, and you need that. You need to build that complete team. You got to hit on the top three pick, and you got to hit on the Draymond Green or a Tyrese Maxey type player in the 20s, because it balances out your team, and it gives you that leg up having a guy that talented on a rookie scale deal.
Yeah, and another one as well that I don't think you mentioned was AJ Johnson. They went back and got. I don't remember if they worked him out pre-draft, but actually no, I think he was their favorite, and then he went just ahead of the pick they got, and they went back and got him in that Kyle Kuzma trade, and he looked fantastic at the end of the season. Maybe would like to see him put on another 30, 40 pounds, but
for sure. He looks like 150 pounds soaking wet. Like he got to get him something for sure.
Yeah, I believe he's listed at 174 this season, but at 6'6", that's still extremely small. Yeah, but speaking of making mid-season trades, it's officially trade season. We're recording this on December 15th, which means 82 new players are now trade eligible. Trade deadline's coming up in February. What would you like to see the Wizards do during this time frame?
I've been going back and forth on this one because, obviously we have the two expiring contracts, the big expiring contracts with Middleton and CJ McCollum, who's been recently playing his value back up. But I think teams around the league know who CJ is. Like, Middleton to me seems like either a buyout candidate or you just kind of just let him expire and take the cap space. I don't think there's going to be much value for him unless he's thrown in like a bigger deal that the Wizards get a part of to kind of take salary. But I'm going back and forth on what is best as far as CJ. Like, I definitely don't want to buy him out because I think he's too good for that. I also don't want to let him expire because, again, I think he's too good for that. But then it's like, I don't want to trade him for like a Jordan Poole type of contract, like another bad contract that you got to eat for another 2 years just while you're hitting the salary floor. So, but then it's like, it's too early to go try to trade for a star, So it's just like, and it's like, ain't nobody giving you no young players for CJ McCollum at this point. So it's just, I'm kind of stuck on what's the best thing to do with that. I really honestly don't know. I've been, I saw the rumors with the Sabonis thing, and I'm off that, man. I'm good on that. Unless we getting first round picks out of it.
Yeah. I know we've spoken about Keon Ellis, but with Sabonis, I would want either a 2026 pick, which seems unlikely, or a 2027 pick along with it, and then I'd be willing to take it. Because, like, Sabonis is good, but I feel like the conversation he's in is above where he's actually at as a player. And I think there's a few guys in the league that are like this, but Domantas Sabonis is probably number one. Because while, yes, he is probably the second best playmaking center in the league in terms of passing, he can't shoot, so he can't really leverage that. He's a post-up guy in a guard-centric league. He's a defensive liability more often than not, but he is a great rebounder.
Yes.
So he has some things that work really well, but for you to really get the full value out of him, you have to have a team very specifically built for him. And Caleb and I spoke about this last week. So I don't know if he has a lot of value.
Yeah.
Especially on what's he making? $40 million.
Yeah.
Like
for another 2 years.
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know if I want the Wizards to buy. I can see the value of him next to Sarr. I think Sarr is the perfect player to put next to Sabonis.
He really is.
However, there's too much risk involved, in my opinion. unless we're getting a pick involved on top of Sabonis, while also not really giving up that much. Like I would want him really, really cheap.
I would want either a pick or Keon Ellis.
Yes.
One of them two. One or both, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think I would do that and just bite the bullet and just eat the salary for 2 years. Because again, he'll expire right when it's time to pay Star.
Yeah.
So or Bilal, so yeah, I wouldn't. It wouldn't be the. It would. I wouldn't be in love with it. But again, if it's coming with a first round pick, I think you gotta consider it for this team.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. And then you mentioned Chris Middleton and his also humongous salary. I believe he's making around 37 million, give or take a few. I feel there have been a few games where he's gone out and he's looked like his Bucks self, like what he was 2, 3, 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then there are games where he just goes out and you're like, where is he? And then he's just kind of sitting on the wing. If he made Father Time waits for no one. If he made like half the amount of money he made, I feel like you'd have 4 or 5 contenders knocking on the door, offering first round picks. Like it's just again, like you said, it's a salary thing with him.
Makes too much.
Yeah. Yeah, are there any other candidates around the league that you feel the Wizards should really take a good look at that are realistic, of course?
I think they need to get another point guard on this team. Like, regardless of what you think about Bub or what you wish for them to do in the upcoming draft, they need another point guard on this team. Like, and a guy that I would like them to look at is Ayo Dosunmu from the Bulls. I don't know that the Bulls would be willing to move him. And I think he's a free agent this year, this summer. But I think
he might be restricted.
Yeah, I think if you can.
Yeah.
If the Bulls maybe feel like they don't want to match it or don't want to sign him, that would be a guy I would be calling for because I think his point of attack defense, like he could kind of be like our Casey Wallace, where he's that point of attack defender. He can play on ball, off ball. He can shoot it from range. And then again, his defense and hustle, man, at the point of attack, which we are severely lacking. Because honestly, if you considering CJ a point guard, you got CJ Bub. Your backcourt is CJ Bub, Trey, and Corey Kispert. That's got to be the worst defending 4-guard rotation in the entire NBA. You got to infuse some. Yeah, you got to infuse some type of defense in there somehow, some way. So that's somebody I'll be looking at. I would go for Ayo for sure.
Yeah, and I know the Bulls are open to trading some of their guards. I know they're in conversation with the Wolves regarding Kobe White. But another guy, and I pitched this on Twitter a while back, and I know me and you had a little conversation on Twitter about it. Dennis Schroeder. Getting him and Keon Ellis. Dennis Schroeder, he's not the best offensive point guard in the world, but he's a big energy guy defensively. He can move the ball. He can handle the ball. And while he is an extremely streaky shooter, I feel like what he can bring to the table is exactly what the Wizards need. I think he's another guy, also a vet, so can bring some experience in. Former sixth man of the year, and then could trade him next year if we need it. So it's because he's, I believe, got 3 years on his deal, but it would be somebody to be a POA defender and move the ball as well.
Yeah, he would be a low risk flyer, a guy that kind of just steadies you a little bit at the position, so it's just not all on Bub. He would give you a guy that, he could run the show a little bit, and then you could move Bub off ball. That'd make Bub, I think, more comfortable. And then he's not so good that he's taking you out of where you're trying to be to get a top 3 pick. So yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that because I don't think we would have to give up much to get him.
No. It could probably be some deal built around Kispert and those second round picks because I know Sacramento desperately wants picks and as many of them as they can get. So you could even throw in that Thunder pick because we've got that we've got that 30th overall pick this year, I believe. So we could throw that in with that, and then possibly get Keon Ellis. That would be, I feel, a tremendous value for Kispert, late first round pick in a couple seconds, and then that's exactly what Sacramento is looking for.
Right. Totally agree.
Yeah, and then one more question for you with everything we've talked about over the last hour or so, and then everything else you've seen. What grade would you give the Wizards as a whole, and then just in general, and then separately from a developmental standpoint?
Wow. I would say on the season as a whole, a C. From a developmental standpoint, I would say a B. And really, it would have been an A if I saw more from Bilal this year, and Bub didn't struggle as much to start. But I would say a B just off of the strength of Sar and Sean. I would give it a B on the developmental side, and then, like I said, overall, just team wise, I would say a C.
Yeah, I think I'm right around where you're at with that as well. I didn't really expect them to be a whole lot better than this, so I don't understand why people are being like, "Oh, this is a complete disaster for the Wizards," because this is what we expected. Actually, we have several key players being way better than expected. So I think coming out and being like, "Oh, it's an F season," I think that's a little bit silly. But then, like you said, Bilal's been a little disappointing. Bub's been put into a role that I don't think he's fully comfortable with, and then everything with Cam Whitmore. So I think I would agree with. I think I would maybe give it a B minus again off the strength of Sar and Keyshawn, but that's
What
more or less
what would be an F for me? A F season for me would be losing your pick to the Knicks because you won too many damn games. That would be an F.
Absolutely.
In one of the best drafts since 2003. That would be an F.
If we won 23 games and then if we won 23 games and fell to 9th.
Right. You win 23 games and you fall from 6 to 9 and you lose your pick in the best draft in the last decade, 2 decades. That's an F. That's complete malpractice. But it might make some fans happy that just want to get the 20 wins for some reason. I don't know why.
Hey, we've had that for how long now, where people have been chasing mediocrity.
I don't understand it, man. I don't understand it.
It's the Bulls mentality.
I don't understand it. Oh, yay, the 12th seed.
Yeah.
Great. Hang a banner.
Sitting still every year.
Good Lord.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming on to the pod today and filling in for Caleb for the week. And thank everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.